A Lover's Litanies, 5th Litany. Salve Regina, by Mackay. Glory to thee, my queen, whom far away my thoughts aspire to, as the birds of May aspire o mornings, as in lonely nooks the gurgling murmurs of neglected brooks aspire to moonlight, I. As earth aspires when through the east, alert with wild desires, the rapturous sun surveys the welkin's height, and flecks the world with witcheries of his fires. Oh, I should curb my grief. I should intone no plaint to thee, no loss should I bemoan. I should be patient, I, though full of care, and not attempt, by bias of a prayer, to sway thy spirit, or to urge anew a claim contested. For my days are few. My days, I think, are few upon the earth, since I must shun the joys I would pursue. I am not worthy of the heaven I name when I name thee, and yet to win the same is still my dream. I strive as best I can to live uprightly on the vaunted plan of old world sages. But I strive not well, and thoughts conflicting which I cannot quell make me despondent, and I quake thereat, as at the shuddering of a doomsday bell. To die for thee were more than my desert. To live for thee, to keep thee out of hurt, and, like a slave, to wait upon thy will were more than fame. And lo, I nourish still a sense of calm to feel that thou, at least, art sorrow-free, and honored at the feast which nature spreads for all contented minds, and that for thee its splendors have increased. I stand alone. I stand beneath the trees, I guess their thoughts. I hear them to the breeze say tender nothings, and I dream the while of thy white arms, and thy remembered smile, when, in a spot like this, a year agone, I saw thee stoop to pluck from off the lawn a wounded bird that peered into thy face as if it took thee for the nymph of dawn. Oh, can it be, as friends of thine affirm that thou art a fairy, that, from term to term, month after month, beloved of all good things, thou art seen in forests and in meadow rings girt for the dance? Or like an Oread queen arrayed for council? For the woods convene their dryad forces when the nights are clear, and nymphs and fawns carouse upon the green. The crescent moon, the argosy of heaven, veers for the west across the Pleiades 7, and, out beyond the ridge of Charles's Wain, it seems to come to mooring on the main of that deep sky, as if awaiting there an angel guest with sunlight in her hair, a seraph's cousin, or the foster child of some centurion of the upper air. Is it thy soul? Has Cynthia called for thee in her white boat, to take thee o'er the sea where suns and stars and constellations bright are isles of glory, where a seraph's right surpasses mine, and makes me seem indeed a base intruder, with a coward's creed and not an angel's, though a Christian born and pledged always to serve thee at thy need. Thou art sleeping now, and in thy snowy rest, in that seclusion which is like a nest for blameless human maids beheld of those who come from God, thou hast in thy repose no thought of me, no thought of pairing time. For thou art the sworn opponent of the rhyme that lovers make in kissing, and anon my very love will vex thee like a crime. But day and night, and winter tide and spring, change at thy voice, and when I hear thee sing I know 'tis May, and when I see thy face I know 'tis summer. Thou art the youngest grace, and all the muses praise thee evermore. And there are birds who name thee as they soar, and some of these, the best and brightest ones, have guessed the pangs that pierce me to the core. Thou art the month of May with all its nights and all its days, transfigured in the lights of love-lit smiles and glances multiform, and, like a lark that sings above a storm, thy voice o'errides the tumult of my mind. Oh, give me back the peace I strove to find in my last prayer, and I'll believe that hope will dry anon the tears that make it blind. There's none like thee, not one in all the world. No face so fair, no smile so sweet impearled, and no such music on the hills and plains as thy young voice, whereof the thrill remains for hours and hours, belike to keep alive the sense of beauty that the flowers may thrive. Or is it thy wish that birds should fly to thee before the days of April's quest arrive? Thou art noble-natured, and there's none to stand so meek as thou, or with so dear a hand to ward off wrong. For Psyche of the Greeks is dead and gone, and Eros with his freaks has bowed to thee, and turned aside, for shame, his useless shaft, not daring to proclaim his amorous laws, and thou so maiden coy beneath the halo of thy spotless name. But dreams are idle, and I must forget all that they tend to. I must cease to fret, moth as I am, for stars beyond the reach of mine upsoaring, and in milder speech I must invoke thy blessing on the road that lies before me, far from thine abode, and far from all persuasion that again thou wilt accept the terms of my love code. O sweet, forgive me that from day to day I dream such dreams, and teach me how to sway my fluttering self, that, in forsaken hours, I may be valiant, and eschew the powers of death and doubt. I need the certitude of thine esteem that I may check the feud of mine own thoughts that rend and anger me because denied the boon for which I sued. Teach me to wait with patience for a word, and be the sight of thee no more deferred than one uprising of the vesper star that waits on Dian when, supreme, afar, she eyes the sunset. And of this be sure, as I'm a man and thou a maid demure, thou shalt be torn aside and wondered at, before the gloaming leaves the land. Obscure. XVII. Thou shalt be bowed to as we bow to saints in windowed shrines, and, far from all attaints of ribald passion, thou, as seemeth good, wilt smile serenely in thy virginhood. Nor shall I know, of mine own poor accord, which thing in all the world is best to hoard, or which is worst of all the things that slay, a woman's beauty or a soldier's sword. XVIII. I grieve in sleep, I pine away at night. I wake, uncared for, in the morning light, and, hour by hour, I marvel that for me the wandering wind should make its minstrelsy so sweet and calm. I marvel that the sun, so round and red, with all his hair undone, should smile at me and yet begrudge me still the sight of thee that art my worshipped one. XX. I count my moments as a cloistered man may count his beads, and through the weary span of each long day I peer into my heart for hints of comfort, and I find, in part, a self-committal, and a glimpse withal of some new menace in the rise and fall of days and nights that are the test of time, though fate would make a mockery of them all. XX. There's a disaster worse than loss of gold, worse than remorse, and worse 1,000-fold, than pangs of hunger. 'Tis the thirst of love, the rage and rapture of the ravening dove we name desire. Ah, pardon, I offend, my fervor blinds me to the withering end of all good counsel, and, accursed thereby, I vaunt anew the faults I cannot mend.